One Zambia, one nation. Good evening and welcome to the main news at 18 hours on TV2 with me, Mutukwa Moya. Here are the headlines. President Edgar Lungu says Africa will remain a dumping site for foreign goods unless the continent's industries start adding value to their products. Acting President Inongewina is concerned with the continued cases of gender-related gruesome murders, both within and outside homes in the country. Plus, first Republican President Kenneth Kaunda has been admitted to the University Teaching Hospital, UTH, in Lusaka. Thank you so much for joining us, and now the news in detail. President Edgar Lungu says Africa will remain a dumping site for foreign goods unless the continent's industries start adding value to their products. The head of state says banks in Africa should rise to the occasion and support individuals that want to get involved in business. President Lungu says Africans should learn to look within themselves for investment before going elsewhere. The president says there is need to promote value addition in all the sectors if Africa is to get maximum benefits from its resources. President Lungu says it is in this vein that he has been calling for more investment in the fishing industry, among others. ZNBC's Hector Simfukwe reports that the president said this after touring the Swazi Milk Company, which is jointly owned by the Swaziland National Pensions Fund and other stakeholders. Earlier, Swaziland Pensions Fund Director Lamini Lonkokela said his fund will be willing to work with Zambia in information sharing. Meanwhile, President Lungu has visited the Royal Sugar Corporation Company in Swaziland. During the visit, the company chief executive officer, Nick Jackson, explained to the president how his company is diversifying its business in the face of drought and load shedding. The head of state is on a 3-day state visit to Swaziland. Acting President Inongewina is concerned with the continued cases of gender-related gruesome murders, both within and outside homes in the country. Ms. Wina, who is also Vice President, says this is indicative of how low society has sunk with regard for human life. She has said relevant government wings and other concerned citizens should take serious consideration in handling matters of gender-based violence, GBV. Ms. Wina has explained that the recent case of a 33-year-old man in Katete, Eastern Province, beheading his wife, as well as the gang raping of a 33-year-old woman in Kitwe on the Copper Belt, make sad reading. She has stated that all these cases and many more point a fact that much more needs to be done by groups concerned, who include the church, religious bodies, psychologists, psychiatrists, and the civil society. Ms. Wina has further said there is need to aggressively interrogate the factors that lead people to commit such atrocities. This is contained in a statement unveiled to TV2 News by Permanent Secretary for Administration in the Vice President's Office, Stephen Mwansa. First Republican President Kenneth Kaunda has been admitted to the University Teaching Hospital, UTH, in Lusaka. Dr. Kaunda was taken to the hospital last night around 23 hours following minor complaints such as body weakness. Acting President Inongewina has visited Dr. Kaunda at the UTH, where he is receiving medical attention. And Ms. Wina, who is also Vice President, says she is happy that the doctors have assured her that he will be discharged by tomorrow.
Yes. Just allowing Honorable Minister to go. Room is small.
Only pray to God that He will, the Almighty will keep him for us, for this nation, for as long as it is possible. We pray for your quick recovery and that you are home as soon as you can get there. We are encouraged by your strength. You really give us a lot of inspiration in the way, Your Excellency, you have conducted yourself, in the way, Your Excellency, you still contribute to the affairs of this nation. We are very proud of you, and we encourage you to keep on. And as strong as you are, we pray to God that He gives you extra days to be with us, to give us guidance as usual.
Meanwhile, Minister of Health Chitalu Chilufya says the first president was admitted last evening for minor complaints. Dr. Chilufya adds that the medical personnel are also conducting general medical checkups on Dr. Kaunda.
Hinonge Mtukwa Wina came to visit the first Republican president, who we took in last night, basically with minor complaints. This is more of a routine investigation, routine medical checkup. Yeah, so we are routinely investigating, doing a routine medical checkup, and also managing the minor complaints, that he had. Overall, very stable, and we are ready to discharge him by tomorrow.
Agriculture Permanent Secretary Julius Shawa has called on stakeholders in the agricultural sector to align the 2018 tax and non-tax budget proposals in the agricultural sector towards increased production and productivity. Mr. Shawa was speaking at the stakeholders consultative meeting on the 2018 tax and non-taxable budget in Lusaka today. The Permanent Secretary said government is looking forward to the stakeholders to consider contributing to key areas of the agricultural sector, such as mechanization and value addition. And Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Finance in charge of budgets and administration, Pamela Kabamba, said engaging key stakeholders in the budgeting processes enhances dialogue and transparency.
Is to gather evidence to support tax and non-tax policy proposals on the agriculture sector for 2018 national budget. For us, from the Ministry of Agriculture, indeed, we think that your submissions should help us look at how we can increase productivity in the agriculture sector and also competitiveness in the agriculture sector. Here, specifically, we are hoping that you can come out very clear in terms of proposals on how we can promote agricultural mechanization and value addition, how we can also support public-private sector initiatives in agriculture extension and research and indeed other areas, and also how we can stimulate improved agriculture marketing and trade.
As partners in development on matters which should form part of the 2018 national budget and the 2018 to 2020 medium-term budget framework. In line with the recently launched 7th National Development Plan, the focus during the medium term is economic diversification and job creation. As such, particular attention will be paid to actualizing interventions in agriculture, agro-processing, and manufacturing and tourism sectors. The economic diversification, growth, and job creation objectives are anchored on two pillars. One, will enhance domestic revenue mobilization to attain that, and two, will ensure greater economic stability.
Now, some grain traders in Kalomo district, Southern Province, have bemoaned the low supply of maize by farmers this year. Some of the traders talked to by ZNBC News say most farmers in the district have opted not to sell their maize due to the low market price of about 40 kwacha per 50 kilogram bag. Makaya Dimba, one of the grain traders, says the current price of 18 ngwe per kilogram of maize is considered by most farmers as being too low. Mr. Dimba says the traders are not able to buy at 1 kwacha 2 ngwe per kilogram as demanded by the farmers because the millers are buying from the grain traders at 1 kwacha. Charles Chadnyinya and Royd Mutoshi, who are also grain traders, are appealing to the millers to consider buying maize at about 1 kwacha 60 ngwe in order for grain traders to realize some profits. They say farmers are justified to demand for a better price because of the high costs of production and transport. Just now we take our first break, but we have more news on the other side. Keep watching TV2. We continue with the news. Disaster Management and Mitigation Unit DMMU National Coordinator Patrick Kaunda is concerned with the number of private individuals mobilizing donations for victims of the Lusaka City Market fire. Mr. Kaunda, who is also chairperson for the City Market Committee for Permanent Secretaries, was speaking today in Lusaka during a media briefing. He has observed that it is important to appreciate that there is a large number of marketeers who have been affected by the fire, and there has to be a central place of coordination. He says government does not want to see a situation where some people are given money and then it is misapplied.
We have a responsibility as government to protect the interests of the affected communities. They have lost properties, they have lost their livelihood, and every little money that is raised must go to their plight, which includes their livelihoods, rehabilitation of their livelihood, and construction of the markets. No fundraising activities are allowed without authority from the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. Anyone fundraising in the name of marketeers must get approval from the Committee of Permanent Secretaries. This is not to say ideas are not welcome. This is not to say people cannot take part in helping, but we say it must be a coordinated approach.
Meanwhile, Kanyama Area Member of Parliament Elizabeth Piri has called for transparency in the registration process of traders who lost goods in the Lusaka City Market fire. Ms. Piri says the target of the compensation packages should be people who lost actual goods in the fire, warning that authorities must look out for fraudsters. Speaking today when she toured the gutted market for the first time, the Kanyama MP has described the now desolate market as a disaster. Here is a report.
The gates leading to the market remain tightly bolted to trespassers. And this will be so until the ghost image that remains in place of a market that stood tall stands again. Kanyama Member of Parliament Elizabeth Piri was not in the country when part of the market crumbled to its knees, melting away the huge dreams of traders who had built their lives from nothing due to business here.
This fire has brought retrogression in the lives of people. Nothing, no word can comfort the victims of this fire. I am very grateful when I arrived on a Monday. On Tuesday, I went to see the minister under the office of the Vice President. I thank the hard-working government under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Edgar Lungu, that they are on top of things.
The Member of Parliament says the processes that will follow this destruction will be governed by utmost transparency.
My caution is others will take advantage of this and they'll be registering things that never happened to them. They'll be part of the group that is really affected. There is a bit of confusion because some of the people that were found in these shops, they were not the original owners registered with the council. They got a shop from the council and leased it out. The people that should be comforted, if any help would come, it should be those that are affected, not those that own these shops.
The Member of Parliament, who also cast her eyes on other victims of a similar disaster, this time in the new Soweto market, is hopeful that they will be compensated for last year's losses. She also toured the BH market area in Old Soweto, where a modern market is expected to be set up. Penlopsi Kazwe, TV2 News, Lusaka.
Muchinga Province Permanent Secretary Bright Nundwe is not happy with the quality of works done in the construction of Evelyn Horn College in Lusaka district. Mr. Nundwe has observed that some of the structures at the institution have already started developing cracks due to what he has described as poor workmanship. He was speaking after he inspected the college infrastructure built at a cost of 15.4 million kwacha. Here is a report.
The quality of works that have been done on the structures at Evelyn Horn College Management Board Lusaka campus. Permanent Secretary from Chinga Province, Bright Nundwe, who visited the institution, has described the works done at the campus by the contractor China Henan as of substandard. Mr. Nundwe says government is spending huge sums of money on projects, therefore such kind of works will not be tolerated.
So to me, this building is a substandard one. My recommendation therefore is that there must be some job, we need to revisit it, break certain things, and just do quite a nice job. We can't afford of a building like this one. Just a year or two from now, you'll see this building collapsing. Mr. Nundwe is equally not impressed with the design of the hostels at the newly built 15.4 million kwacha learning institution. The contractor should come back on the site, agree with the Minister of Higher Education, and just redo the work, because this is disaster on its own. However, the PS says he will soon engage his counterpart in the Ministry of Higher Education on the matter. We have no option as government except to summon him and come on site and do the work. I know the Minister of Higher Education came here, Professor Nkandro was here, and gave a comment. She was equally very disappointed. Miriam Kumwenda reporting for the News in Lusaka, Chinga Province.
General Education Permanent Secretary Henry Tukombe says the free distribution of sanitary towels in rural areas is a program yet to be actualized. Mr. Tukombe has told TV2 News that the program activity is however reflected in the 2017 national budget. Meanwhile, a University of Zambia student, Chilufya Simwanza, says government and partners should invest in teaching girls and women on how to make washable sanitary towels. More in this report.
She's only 22 years old and already Chilufya Simwanza is a game changer. Law student at the University of Zambia, she and friends are founders of Zatu Foundation, which aims to make a difference in people's lives. Here, she takes me through the process of making washable sanitary towels, the organization's initiative since March 2016. And 35 girls have so far benefited, not just from receiving, but also learning the skill of making sanitary towels. With a cost of not more than 400 kwacha per 100 parts, these sanitary towels are a product of cotton as well as waterproof and toweling materials, all stitched together.
Some people use cotton chitenge, but then it's a bit rough on the skin. So it's better I use this type of cotton. So if you're maybe going to buy, you just ask for the baby bed sheets. The bed sheets that I used to make, the material used to make bed sheets for babies.
Chilufya's passion has extended to provision of free education to children within our community. This guardhouse at her parents' house in Highbecks Hill is enough a structure to help Chilufya realize a dream of free education for the little ones. And this is a school under construction. Chilufya also intends to teach some mothers in the neighborhood how to make the sanitary towels. And Dorothy Mwanza is among those looking forward to learn the art.
Kairi pala advantage kubati ukagula uzamba kuti everyday ukungogula kairi awashiwa noyanikiwa ndio ubuna wakaena umatanza kuri isebazimai njira zosiyana siyana zambiri.
Now Chilufya wants government and other stakeholders to embrace the initiative on a large scale.
So teaching girls in urban areas, in rural areas, how to make alternative sanitary towels, it would be the best, because then even if the government is not able to, at least it's something that they could use as opposed to just cutting from their clothes each time. Yeah, and maybe also they could open up funds for maybe innovators, young entrepreneurs that have other ideas, because I think there are young people that maybe have ideas on how menstrual hygiene could be tackled, but then they lack the funding. So maybe opening up a fund or a competition or something where people can come up with ideas to bring about something that would help the girls.
She believes the initiative will come in handy against government's planned distribution of free sanitary pads in rural schools. Ruth Kamwi, TV2 News in Lusaka.
Department of Immigration has arrested 52 people for various immigration-related offences countrywide. Department spokesperson Namati Nshinka has confirmed this in a statement availed to TV2 News today in Lusaka. Among those arrested include 14 Congolese, 3 Ethiopians, 2 Rwandese, 1 Kenyan, 2 Malawians, 2 Mozambicans, 1 Ugandan, 1 Zimbabwean, and 1 Ghanaian, all for unlawful entry. Mr. Nshinka has added that the department also refused entry into Zambia 13 foreign nationals for various reasons. Meanwhile, the department has also removed 14 illegal immigrants from the country. After our final break is international and sports news. Keep watching TV2, the Pulse of Television. And now the rest of the news. We start with international news. 3 Kenyan men who stripped and attacked a woman in a bus have been sentenced to death by a magistrate in the capital, Nairobi. The death sentence was imposed after the 3 were convicted of robbery with violence. The incident was recorded and shared widely on social media 3 years ago. The video sparked the protests, with hundreds of women marching through Nairobi. Chief Magistrate Francis Andai said those convicted had taken part in a senseless and uncouth attack that they seemed to enjoy because they were cheering as they stripped the woman. And now in sports, Zesco United says it is working on the team's weaknesses ahead of their CAF Confederations Cup quarter-final 2-legged match against SuperSport United of South Africa next month. The first leg will be played during the weekend of August 8 to 10, while the second leg will be played a week later. Club Chief Executive Officer Justin Mumba has told TV2 Sports that the team has started working on improving its weakness. And Mumba says the team has started negotiating with different clubs so as to bring on board other players.
The inadequacies in the team, and we've identified players that we can bring in. So we are in negotiations with different clubs, and then once the negotiations are done, we'll definitely be able to do a press release. We have not yet concluded in terms of the transfer. That's the more reason why they haven't traveled. Like I said, once we conclude with them in terms of the negotiations, and surely we'll be able to announce the time they'll join the team.
We've come to the end of the main news at 18 hours, but before we go, here's a recap of the headlines. President Edgar Lungu says Africa will remain a dumping site for foreign goods unless the continent's industries start adding value to their products. The head of state says banks in Africa should rise to the occasion and support individuals that want to get involved in business. Acting President Inonge Wina is concerned with the continued cases of gender-related gruesome murders, both within and outside homes in the country. Ms. Wina, who is also Vice President, says this is indicative of how low society has sunk with regard for human life. And First Republican President Kenneth Kaunda has been admitted to the University Teaching Hospital, UTH, in Lusaka. Dr. Kaunda was taken to the hospital last night around 23 hours following minor complaints such as body weakness. Join us for another detailed bulletin at 20 hours right here on TV2, the Pulse of Television. This is Mutu Kwamoya. Good evening and continue watching TV2.